Greetings. Greetings. Tony Mobley here. Welcome to Conversation. Radio audience in Cincinnati, Ohio, and also can be heard in the TuneIn radio app. Thank you, Victor, for being here with me today. This is the 57th episode of Conversation with Tony Mobley, and we want to thank everyone for being a part of this journey. Why are we here? We're here because life has provided me the opportunity to have real conversations with real people. First, I want to thank Mr. Jason Bache for our conversation last week. And also, I want to thank the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for their support and continued encouragement. Conversation with Tony Mobley seeks to have real conversations with real people. We hope to help others with these conversations, but I need your help. Yeah, here I go again. I want to encourage you to go to the conversationwithTonyMobley.com website. Why do I want you to go to the website? Again, that's conversationswithTonyMobley.com. We have the Mukana chat. What is the Mukana chat? It is an opportunity for you to ask questions during this conversation. But guess what? You can not only just ask a question, the questions can be voted up and down. That's right. But if you don't want to do that by registering at conversationwithTonyMobley.com, we have the quick question form. Tongue twister, quick question form. And you can put in just your name and ask your question. The only thing about that is that we can't guarantee that your question will be answered. If you like this and past conversations, we ask that you like and subscribe. Set that bell to be reminded of all upcoming conversations. And here we are with Mr. Victor Cajiao. Welcome, Victor. Thank you again so much for being here with me.
Tony, it's a pleasure to be here with you. Congratulations on all your success of this show. And I'm glad that we can sit down and have this conversation.
Absolutely. And so we're going to get right into it. The first question is, who is Victor Cajiao?
How much time do we have? I'm a very multifaceted person. I would say that about myself. I'm a 62-year-old man who was originally born in Cuba, migrated to the United States legally at the age of 9. And I've had a lot of adventures in my life throughout time. Not only am I a musician, but I've been a pawnbroker, an IT manager. Of course, I am a husband and a father, first and foremost, and I've had a very rich life with incredible opportunities and with its ups and its downs. You know, the whole gambit of things. And I was lucky enough to be. I started with AT&T in 1989 as a 411 operator. Anyways, we can get more into that. And my career ended very early. At 56, I was offered an early retirement package, and I took it. You know, I had no hesitation because my wife and I wanted to do things as retired people while we were still young enough to do them. So I'm a person who loves technology. I think my brain sits at the intersection of arts and technology. You know, if there was a street sign, much like Apple, that's where I would be, because I love everything technical about things, but I also have my artistic side. If you put me on one of those tests, I always come out, believe it or not, it's more left-brained. So I do come out more in the scientific math side, but I'm lucky enough that that music and the arts have been a part of my life since I was a young man. So that's kind of the synopsis, and we can go from there.
Thank you, Victor. We have a question from Laura Thompson. She says, when when is Sunday Sax Jam coming back to YouTube?
Well, I have some good news and some bad news. Um, I have, since I returned from my winter break in Vegas, I made the decision to make the Sax Jam not a live show anymore, but I am going to start putting out more recorded content on that. And maybe perhaps once a quarter, maybe do a live show where I actually come on the way I used to. I just found that putting together a live show every 2 weeks by myself, doing all the technical things, as well as writing all the music, transcribing the music and programming all the cues for the cameras and stuff, little too overwhelming, and I needed a respite. So for now, that's the answer. I'm not gone by any means. So get out there to saxjams.com or my YouTube channel with my name and subscribe. But I have slowed down a bit. Winter is fast approaching, however, and then I will be off again for a while. So, Laura, don't give up. More is coming.
Fantastic. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Laura, for the question. What lessons have you learned from your parents that you're currently using today?
Mm, that's a good question. Probably there are two that really stick out to me. One of them was given to me by my mother, and that was never be afraid to ask. Um, she would always tell me, ask the prettiest girl out. The worst that she can say is no. So, take that risk, ask that question, give yourself permission to accept failure as growth. So, and that really paid off because indeed, that's exactly what I did. Even though, I grew up and I was always a bigger guy and all that stuff, I didn't have that complex of that because I was able to go to the prettiest girl and ask her out. And sometimes they said yes, for goodness sakes. So that was certainly one of them. And the other one I think a lot of us have heard was, to really pay yourself first. When I was a working person, I would put away 50, 60% of my pay, into savings, a large amount. So I would live way below my means my entire career in order to have a nest egg where I wouldn't have to work when I retired at all. And so I did that just religiously. I would get it if I got a check for $100, $50 were going to go into savings or into some kind of an investment, and I continued to do that. And when I was in California, we could have afforded $1 million house, and we didn't have $1 million house, and that really paid dividends. So I think those are the two biggest lessons.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
The next question is, what does your family think of what you're doing?
I have a relatively small family, but they've always been super supportive of me. I mean, but musically, oh my gosh. I was reminding my wife the other day how my mom, when I was a senior in high school, bought me a Selmer saxophone, and this is 1977, and it was $700. And $700 in 1977 is probably the equivalent of a couple of $1,000, which I know she didn't have. But she supported me and made sure I had the instrument that I needed to pursue my um, career in college. And by that time, I was, playing in a lot of rock and roll, bands and weddings and stuff like that as a senior in high school. So I think that they support what I do all the time. My wife, oh my goodness, my wife is just an angel when it comes to, this stuff that I do down here when I was doing the sax jams and preparing and making sure that things were sounding okay upstairs. She's always been super, super supportive. and and the endless UPS packages, and she would only give me a sideways stare once in a while and look at me like, really, really, they're here again. Do you want to have them home for dinner? Because we spent a lot of money during the pandemic getting all this stuff together. But she has always been super supportive, so I'm very blessed that way.
Fantastic. Let's talk about you as an American success story.
Yeah, one of many, huh? Yeah, we are so lucky that this country is made up of an incredible amount of jambalaya and just this mixture of races and of experiences and of immigrants. And I think immigrants bring out just the best of this country. And I was fortunate enough in 1968 to have the opportunity to be my uncle that lived in the U.S. since before the revolution petitioned for us to come. And we were lucky enough to be able to come. And it was an incredible experience. We got to come to the United States on December 24th, 1968. So it was like the best Christmas present you could ever give a kid, right? And I will never forget my experience coming out of the country. It was very tough to live a communist country this way, and very sad. Before you leave Cuba, you have to go through Switzerland. So you have to go from the Cuban government and then the Swiss government, because they're the go-between, neutral, and then finally you can go to the jetway in order to get an airplane. And unfortunately, this family in front of me, I'll never forget this. They had a boy and a girl and a dad and a mom. And the boy had some mental disabilities, And the Cuban government, before they were leaving, they asked this boy to spell his last name. And he couldn't. And so they took the father and the son and they left them back because the mother and the daughter had already crossed the threshold,
Oh,
And,
wow.
and it just broke my heart, even as a 9-year-old. And so 45 minutes later or an hour later, we landed in Miami and we go through immigration there. And it's the 24th. And when you go through immigration, you have to go through a bunch of little stations. And because it was Christmas, they were all giving us presents. And I thought
Oh,
to
wow.
myself, what a country, oh my
Wow.
God, this is incredible, and then, the next day was Christmas Day and we spent it with a family that my mom knew there. And Tony, I tell you, I'm so grateful to be an American. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to be in this country. I remember the first time that we walked into a supermarket and we just all broke down crying. We had never seen such abundance. Because in Cuba, you had to stand in line 3 or 4 hours to get an apple or a piece of cream cheese. And there was such abundance, that it was just amazing. So I was never going to take that for granted, being an immigrant. And I said, I have got to be a contributing member to this world. I have got to give something back to this country for allowing me to be here. And I tried to stay faithful to that my entire life. Became a citizen in 1984, and I'm super proud to be an American and want America to continue to be a place that embraces all kinds of people and all kinds of different thoughts.
I just want to say, Victor, it's an amazing story, and you are an American success story. So thank you for sharing your journey with us. I really appreciate it. And I'm
Yeah,
sure that it's encouraging to those who are listening and hearing this message.
I think America gets the credit for that. They made that possible for me to be a successful man in this country. And the beautiful thing is that you can do it too, and you can do it too, and that opportunity is there for most of us. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you
I didn't mean
again.
to go on about that. It's just a big part of
That's
who I am.
okay. That's
Big part of who
okay.
I am.
That's why we're here. Clylock Lopez Waterman, Brevard, North Carolina, ask, what is your favorite dish in Cuban food?
Oh man, my mom's black beans. although she's gone now. She did leave me the recipe. So definitely that would be number one. And the second one would be what we call papas rellenas, which are these stuffed potato balls. So you think of mashed potatoes, and then you stuff those inside with hamburger meat that has all kinds of spices and stuff, and then you roll those into a dough and you deep fry them. Papas
Oh, wow.
rellenas. It is off the hook. And now the only place I can get up is when I go to California. So there you go. Those are my favorites.
Oh, that's fantastic. And Clark is back again. He
Hmm.
says, has Cuban music been an influence to you and your music taste and talents?
Yeah, it has been probably later on in my life, much, much more than earlier on in my life. I mean, I've always enjoyed Cuban rhythms, and I've always enjoyed conguero music, but I didn't know as much about it until pretty late in my life, probably my late 20s, early 30s, that I started really listening to the back catalog of some of those artists that I really grew to like. Um, but yeah, absolutely, it's an influence. And now, oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. I had the opportunity in 2016 to go back to Cuba for the first time in 52 years, and I got to listen to a lot of Cubanos just doing what they call the sparcha, which is just like a jam session on the streets, and it was just like, oh, heaven, because the pulse of Cuba is music. There's no doubt. Everywhere, music is everywhere. So, so yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that, Victor, I had the opportunity to listen to revisit um, Sax Jams earlier today, and I was just amazed at your talent. But more importantly, I think the diversity of your music that you are sharing. And so I think that it's important if you have not had an opportunity to go to saxjam.com, check it out. He plays a variety of different music from different cultures. You will enjoy it. So I wanted to encourage you to the community and those who are listening to check out saxjam.com.
Yeah, the Sax Jams, Sunday Sax Jams was COVID's gift to me during the plague, because it allowed me to do things I had never done musically, like learn 110 songs in a year, and that's a lot, and practice more than I had in years, and and get my technical chops up when it came to video and lights, and go to office hours and consume and spend a lot of money and get it together, you know. And so Sax Jams was a gift to me, and then I got to play whatever music I wanted, and a lot of the music I play on there are songs that you've heard people sing. You know, Purple Rain on saxophone. Who does that? This guy. So that's exactly what I did. And so, and then when I started towards the end taking some requests, I got some requests for Latino music, and then I would do a couple of tribute shows, you know, something all Yellow Jacket songs or all Anita Baker songs, which I know you particularly enjoyed. So yeah, Sax Jams was really a gift to me, and so there's nothing better to do with a gift than give it back somehow. You know? So
Absolutely. And it's great. It's great music. Check it out on YouTube and check it out on the website.
thank you.
Next question is, can you share your music setup and your streaming setup? And are they different?
Yeah, they are different. Let me switch to this camera angle here. What you see behind me over here is more of my music setup. It's a new Mac Studio, and then I've got a MIDI controller keyboard here. I've got some other controllers back there, and then I have another keyboard directly behind me. So I use that station when I'm creating music or editing music, And that computer is just dedicated to that function, so it makes it very clean to do that. I've got an Apollo interface over here, and it's only a two-channel interface. That's all really I need. I do have an additional 8 channels, a Focusrite preamps here in case a guitar player friend or a drummer comes in or something, I could record them. So and then I have Logic, I have Pro Tools, hundreds of plugins, of which I really only use about 10. So there's a hint for you. If you get FOMO, be very selective. And that's part of what I learned. Now, a lot of that came to be because when me and my musical partner, Joe Christina, recorded our 2016 album, I really had to upgrade my equipment and really had to be able to record remotely and all of that. So that's how come I keep that set up kind of differently. For streaming, it's a little bit different. I have an M1 Mac Mini here with 3 monitors over here, Blackmagic ATEM Mini Extreme ISO that I use for that. And then I have a X32 board by Behringer, which is the mixing board that I use to mix things through a Dante network, so I can bring audio in from that computer or from the computer in front of me and mix it all in that mixer. It's very handy. Dante has been magical for me, and thanks to people like Mickey Macador who helped me set it up and get it going. So yeah, it's quite an extensive setup, and it changes occasionally, especially in the computer area. I tend to upgrade that computer about once every 3 years. And then I have a laptop as well if I needed to record something remotely. Camera-wise, I have 2 Blackmagic cameras, and then I have a Sony camera. That angle right there is Sony. Blackmagic is the one you're looking at here. Blackmagic here. Key light, fill light, some background lights back there that can change colors. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Victor, so much for sharing that.
Sure.
The next question is, please share your different. Can you please share the different saxophones that you play?
Sure. Lucky enough that I have almost every saxophone that's playable. I have a soprano saxophone, Yamaha soprano saxophone. I have my alto saxophone that you'll hear me play a little bit later. That's a Selmer saxophone. And then I have a tenor saxophone that's made by a company called P. Marriott. And then I have a baritone saxophone, the big one that you see people play. And that is sitting over there. And it's also made by a P. Marriott. Now in the sax family, there are 3 more saxophones. The sopranito, which is a very small straight one. And then there is a bass saxophone and a contrabass. I do not own those. In addition to that, I own a clarinet, which I play kind of okay, and an open hole flute, which I play pretty poorly because I don't practice enough on it. So yeah, I have a lot of different saxophones and a wind synthesizer that you'll also hear. So I've been lucky enough to do a lot of acquisitions of saxophones, and they're part of the family. Yeah.
Fantastic. Is this a good time for us to get maybe one selection before we ask Ken Jones' question?
Absolutely a good time. Absolutely. All right. Well, the first song I'm going to play here is going to be on this instrument right here. And this is called an aerophone. For those of you listening on the radio, it is a electronic wind instrument that has keys much like a saxophone and a mouthpiece like a saxophone. And when you blow into it, it sends electronic signals and sounds like a synthesizer if I was playing a keyboard. And it makes it possible for me to play in a much different way than a saxophone. I'll let you hear a little bit of it by itself. And see, by having the saxophone mouthpiece, I can bend the notes and I can go play loud and give you that emotion that you need to play. So the first song I'm going to play is something by the Yellow Jackets. Russell Ferrante wrote it. It is one of my favorite songs of theirs. And after I mute my microphone here, I'll get it going. It's called Claire's Song.
All right. Wow.
There you go. That's an
Victor, thank you so much.
instrument. Isn't that a fun instrument?
Wow. Wow. And share what the name of the instrument one more time, please.
It's called a Roland Aerophone Pro. And they make about 4 versions of it. So if you're a young saxophonist, you can get into one for about $300. And then this top of the line professional model is about $1,800. So, and the
Wow.
differences are that this can do a lot more things programmatically. I can play the keyboard behind me through that instrument. I can use it as a MIDI trigger and play any synthesizer I own. So it gives me the ability when I'm writing music, and let's say I'm doing an orchestral piece and I want to play a cello part, I can now play my cello sample using the expression from my heart, and make it sound more musical. So it's a very
Oh,
cool
wow.
instrument. Yeah, very cool.
Thank you so much for that
Sure, that was
selection.
fun.
It was amazing, and there's more to come. There's more to come.
Yeah.
We have a question from Mr. Ken Jones. Victor, love that sax. How long have you been an entertainer?
My first band was when I was, I guess, 17. Our first little rock and roll band that we used to play roller rinks at. I've been in band since I was 12, so I've been playing some kind of a wind instrument for 50 years. And then I played all my life, even when I was in the corporate world. I was always playing bar gigs and rock and roll gigs, and I played a lot of rock. I would play with 5-piece rock band, and we're doing, I remember in the time that country music was popular, Victor was sitting there playing country saxophone. Okay, it was going to happen because I like the work, and so it's been a long time. And thank you for using the word entertainer. That is exactly what I consider myself. Yes, I'm a musician, but I'm a big ham, so I'm also an entertainer, and I hopefully when I play what you hear is me, and what you hear is a part of my soul, because that's my goal as an entertainer, as an artist. The musicality part of it is the technique and the instrument and the thing that facilitates it. Much as for Tlaloc, the lights and the lighting boards are his instruments, but the real talent is putting it together and expressing the vision through your talent. So thanks for using that word of entertainer, because truly that's what
It
I
comes
consider
through.
myself.
It comes through, Victor.
Oh,
It really
good. I'm
does come
glad.
through.
I'm
And
glad.
and thank you so much for sharing that selection again.
Sure.
Uh, the next question is. Oh, before I do that, Ken Ken Jones, Seattle, Washington. Great question. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's
Great question.
Yeah, let's talk about office hours,
Sure.
and let's talk about the remotes.
Okay. Sure. Let's do it.
So, how did you get into office hours?
Well, I have followed Alex Lindsay since he was in the whole Twit world, and they were doing This Week in Tech back in early 2005, six. Because I was a tech podcaster at the time. I had a show called Typical Mac User Podcast, and so I was very much in that space. And so I got to know Alex. Um, one year that I spoke at Macworld, and he was in the speakers lounge as well, and we got to talking a little bit. And so when Alex put up that he was doing this, I'm like, oh, I want to learn more about visual media. So I think it was the fourth day that I joined up for the first time, and listened to what was going on. It was very early days. And then I didn't come back again probably for another 30 days. So I would say from April of that time until last winter, I was very heavily involved in an office hours from a day-to-day basis, and I was just blown away by the skill sets and the talent and the generosity and the humanity and the kindness and the willingness. Those are all things that kept me engaged. The tech, of course, the tech, but it was those other things, the ability for the group to embrace anyone and help them through something and help them get through whatever struggles they were having, and without judgment, and in a in a safe environment for women and men and people of all kinds, and in a clean environment. Not that I can't be blue, I can, but in that particular environment, it wasn't the right thing. And so Pretty amazing experience, and then last March I got to be part of the OH Space project and meet some of these incredible people and watch them do their craft and watch them come together in real life. And it was just amazing, and then throughout some of that, the opportunity for me to raise my hand when I think Alex mentioned one day about having a band kind of in jest, and I said, we can do that, because I knew we had several musicians already. So I said, I'll put it together. I'll be the project manager for it, if you will. And then that's how that got going. Then I started fishing for people. Come down, join a band. Come to the Discord room. The water's fine. And we had a core group of 9 or 10 people. Brian Anderson, Jeffrey Powers, Gary. There was just this group that came together. Brian Anderson had written a jazz and blues song a while back when he was doing a project for Roland, and that he had the rights to. We said, well, why don't we start with that one? And that became the first blues. And then we just had to set up a set of rules, what file format are we going to use, and how we're going to pass music back and forth to each other. And and we got through all of that. We have weekly meetings, bi-weekly now, and it came together. At that time it was still early days of 2020, I think, maybe 2021. So we had more time. The folks weren't working like they are now. So we were able to be a lot more productive. And it's a great group of people. We have released a total of 3 songs. 4th one's coming very, very soon. And it's going to be a fun one. It's one that Alex requested, so I won't give it away, but that's going to come very soon. And then we're working on a 5th and a 6th song now. And we still have time to grow. Now, it's a little bit slower now because, a lot of the people we work with are professional sound mixers or musicians, whatever they happen to be, and they're gigging, they're working. So the process is a lot slower than we'd love it to be. But it is a blast. Come on in. The water's fine. You don't have to be, a high-level musician. You can be someone who's always wanted to sing and you think you have a singing voice, or you can have a technical skill that we need. We'd love to have more video editors. We'd love to have more directors, those kinds of people. It's pretty easy to get in, and, we'd love to have you. And it's a lot of fun, and we're going to keep it going. And hopefully, maybe one day we'll be able to do, a live gig someplace and play for an hour live on stage with each other. That would be truly, truly awesome. So
Yeah,
that wasn't too much.
no, that was great. That was great. For those who are listening on the radio, I just wanted to share with you, go to officehours.global and you can see the music, see and hear the music that the remotes have done. Also, go to Sunday Sax Jams by Victor Cajiao and check him out there. And also, you can revisit this conversation that we're having. And Victor is going to share some more music with us a little bit later on. And so I want to make sure those who are listening on the radio, those are places that you want to go. And this website for this conversation is conversationwithtonymobley.com. Okay, the next question is, how do you stay current with the latest in technologies? Or do you?
Yeah, I try to. This winter, my wife and I spent our winter in Vegas, and so I stepped back, really did a kind of a step back from technology and from the web period, because we wanted to spend time going places, doing things. I am an avid poker player, love to play Texas Hold'em, and so I spent many, many, many hours doing that, which was fun. But I read a lot of blogs. I have an RSS reader and of some of my favorite blogs, and I watch some YouTube channels that are some of my favorite, and look at it that way. Of course, office hours, although I don't listen every single day, but I certainly look at what's there. And if I get into a subject, especially right before I go to bed, I'd love to spend an hour and just, watch and learn about things like that. So yeah, I really do try to stay current. When I was doing my podcast, I was doing a lot more of that because it was I was teaching brand new switchers from PCs to Mac, which was who I was. That's why it was called typical Mac user. And so I was teaching lessons of how to do X, Y, and Z on a Mac when I used to do it on a PC. So I would get very deep into the technology and the guts of the Mac and how to do preferences. And there were teaching lessons, and it was a fun show, weekly, every Wednesday, sometimes bi-weekly. It was crazy. I started in 2000, April of 2006, 2005. I started with typical PC user, bought a Mac in September and never looked back. And I changed it to typical Mac user. And it became a fun show, very successful. By 2007, I had about 12,000 listeners a week. I had
Wow.
sponsors. Yeah, I had sponsors that would pay me to run ads, you know, and so it was a lot of fun. So technology is still a very big part of my life in one way or another. And recently, learning this stuff about you know, lights and cameras and stuff like that has been another layer. Like I said, I don't know if I have ADD or whatever, but you got to keep me busy. I am not good with idle time. No, that's
Yeah,
not good for me.
Victor, I think it's important too. As I had the opportunity to look at Sunday Sax Jam today, one of the things that occurred to me that the music is fantastic, but also um, it is visually extremely attractive. And I know that you were sharing that you were, for the most part, a one man show, but you had different individuals that would help you from time to time. And I think you mentioned TJ Asher.
But
Um,
yeah, TJ towards the end was doing all the switching for me, much as Taylor does on your show. But prior to
right.
that, I learned how to use QLab on office hours and bought the license. And QLab became the hub of the show. I could play the music through it. I could switch the cameras, you know, using QLab in the on the ATEM automatically to the beat of the music. You know, I could mix the music down or up, and I could run all my lower thirds, and all of that was automated. So I would put a piece of music down on QLab, and then I would listen to it, and on every certain beat, I would put a marker, 2, 3, 4, marker, and then go back, and I would those markers would be where a camera is switching, when the lower third starts, when a lower third stops. At the beginning of the song, mute my mic. At the end of the song, unmute my mic. So I learned how to do all of those things on QLab, which made the show, thank you for saying it, I think look visually more interesting and sound really good. And then thank goodness when TJ took over the switching, that really relieved me of one of the things that um, I didn't have to deal with because I didn't have to program every camera switch. And then at the end of the show, I would take my ISO from my ATEM and I would, you know, then edit it. Sometimes I would EQ the music, make the music sound better, and then I would upload it to YouTube. You know, so as well as it was there live, I would cut the individual songs and I would post the individual songs as just one little single pieces.
Amazing. Amazing. And again, Victor, thank you so much for sharing Sunday Sax Jams with us. Amazing.com.
Actually,
SundaySaxJams.com.
it's just
Oh, it's just
Sax Jams,
saxjams.com.
saxjams.com, and Ken Jordan, our good friend from Office Hours, put that site together for me. Bless his heart, and makes it easy for people to go there and watch my archive. So, Mr. Ken, thank you for doing that for me,
Thank you.
and
Thank you, Ken.
it makes it so much easier. And yeah, go there, or like Tony said, go to YouTube and just search my name, and then you'll find my channel. And then, you know, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and hit that bell, just like Tony said, because it's always fun to have subscribers. And I will be putting out more content for sure.
And Victor, I want you to say your name and spell it for those who are listening on the radio.
Sure. It's Victor Cajiao, and it's Victor, and then Cajiao. And originally my family is from northern Spain. And so the name is Spanish and Portuguese. You know, there was probably some crossing of some borders, dating going on there, and I think the origin of the name is Lindell tree. Is that how you say it? Lindell tree? Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that.
You bet.
The next thank you, Victor. The next question is, can you share a past success story and a recent one?
Hmm. Yeah, past success story was having the courage at 31 to take advantage of a university program at my work. They sent me to the University of Redlands, and I got to go at night with an ad hoc group. And in 4 years, I had my bachelor degree in science, and I never thought. I thought it was too late, you know, and I wanted to do it to show my son that it was never too late, and I wanted to do it to show myself that I had the ability to learn academically, because one of the things that I did suffer from when I was a younger kid, being Latino, was that I was told that Latinos were not any good at math, you know, and I believed it, you know, and then come to find out, not so much. I was a 4.0, I was a 4.0 student, including math, you know, and so that was a great past success story, and it led my career to blossom into middle management and into salary ranges that I never thought I would hit, and it was an opportunity that the company provided, and I'll be forever grateful for. So that's a past one, and
Okay.
then I think a current one um, is, I think, being respected, like in a community like OH, you know, having a good reputation for somebody who is a can-do person, and a person who'll follow through, and a person who hopefully contributes to the community. So, you know, I definitely believe that is a success story, because it's given me the ability to do things like Sunday Sax Jams, and become a better saxophonist. Never too late. You know, I started taking improvisation lessons again 2 years ago, and somebody, you've been playing for 50 years, and I don't care. I was too lazy when I was in high school to get some of my bebop language and improvisation language that I've always wanted to learn, but I was too lazy. I was too busy looking over there at the girls and looking over here, and I didn't do it. So I said, you know, I'm going to do it now. And so that's a success story, is that that I've come to figure out that it's never too late for me to build on the God-given talent that God gave me, and not squander that away by not making it even more fruitful. In other words, having that garden even produce better and better things.
And I'm just going to say that I want to echo everything that you just shared. And team late bloomers,
Here you go.
team late bloomers. That's us.
There you go.
Yeah. So the next question is, do you use hardware switchers or software switchers? And you kind of talked about it with QLabs, but was wondering if you could give us a little bit more. And I know you were an early adopter of EcammLive.
I was, and I moved away from that. And like I said, I use a Blackmagic 18 Mini Extreme ISO, so that is the hardware. But when I want to talk to that hardware, I use a program called ATEM OSC, which lets the QLab talk in the OSC language back to the Blackmagic switcher, so that I can automate switching. So I have kind of the best of both worlds. I have the hardware switcher where I can switch, you know, things like this, but I also have a piece of software called ATEM OSC, free program, that lets things like QLab talk back to the ATEM and automate those camera movements. Hopefully that answers that question.
That does. Thank you, Victor, so much for that. How has the world changed since COVID-19?
Hmm. Wow. I don't know. I think we just all went through a very dark period, including myself, and that included some depression, and that included some lows, and so I think that I hope that what we're going through now is a renaissance, and it's always darkest before the light. And so I hope that we are just in a period of time where we're going to have a renaissance in a lot of things, publicly, how we care for each other, how we embrace differences. So it changed a lot of us, but I think that there's a lot of hope that will come out the other side as a better society.
Thank you for that, Victor.
Mhm.
And we're getting near the end. I
Sure.
was wondering, is this a good time for another selection?
Absolutely, sure. Let me get the saxophone. This is the analog version of that other piece. This is the one that requires no electricity except for the microphone.
Okay.
All right. So what we're going to do next is a beautiful song from the Great American Songbook, a ballad called Misty by Errol Gardner, one of the greatest composers of the Great American Songbook. So I hope this is a little mellower change of pace, and I hope you enjoy Misty. There you go.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, wow. Misty.
Isn't that a
Wow.
beautiful
Wow.
song? Oh,
Yeah, it was fantastic. Thank you so much, Victor, for that.
my pleasure. I'm glad
Um,
that you let me play a couple songs. It's fun.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately for you, I've been monitoring the YouTube chat,
Uh-huh.
and I think you're going to have to try to figure out something in regards to bringing sex jams back, because they are very active and they are saying they want more. And I'm going to say, me too.
Well, yes,
Um,
I definitely will record some more music and put it out there for recorded. Maybe we'll do one live jam before we go away for winter again, and I'll probably reach out to TJ and maybe a couple more of you to help me with some of that. So I
all right.
appreciate everyone saying that. Thank you. It is fun to play. There's no doubt about that. I get
Well,
this other
thank you,
camera
Victor,
back.
for sharing your gift and your talents with us. Um, the last, we have a couple of more questions and then we're going to be done. What's next for you, Victor? What's next?
Oh, I think for me it's just rinse and repeat. I have a blessed life. My wife and I get to spend a lot of time together with our little dog here, who just came up and scratched me in my hip, saying, "When are you coming up, Daddy?" So I'm just going to continue to enjoy life, and play some more music. And there's nothing huge that's next for me, at least not that I know about. Maybe somebody else has some other plans that haven't been told to me yet, but I'm open to all of it, Tony. I am open to all of it. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to uh, to enjoy the life that I enjoy, and again, I'm just going to come back to the theme that I get to do these things because I live in a country that lets me do them. So I'll end it
Very
with that.
cool. Very cool. Very cool. Thanks again. I'm still really rocking from the last song. Uh, you're speaking to the world. What do you want them to know?
I want them to be good to each other. I want them to be kind to each other, and I want them to listen with an open heart before speaking back.
Very cool. Thank you, Victor. Thank you so much.
You betcha.
And I think that might be the last question, actually. So what we're going to do, we are going to say good night to those who are on the radio listening, and we're going to say good night to everyone who is participating in this fantastic artistic conversation that I am having with Victor. I want to go ahead and do my thanks. Before I do that, I just again want to say, Victor, thank you so much for sharing this conversation with me tonight. It was even better than I thought it was going to be. So thank you so much, Victor. Appreciate it. And
I
so
had a great time.
we want to thank Kimberly Mobley, Ron Mobley, Global Family and Friends, Alex Lindsay, Office Hour members, DVE Store, Liminal Entertainment, Technologies, Byte Hive, VDO360.com, ApproofAlone.com, Cloud Bedrock LLC, Ken Jordan, Jonas Dattel, Aaron Husledge, Cherik Cheetah, David Brady, Marcus Lee Folk, Richard Lavery, Chris Fenwick, Manolo Lozano, Jeffrey Powers, Bo Cordell, Mickey McAture, Hosmuk Geijar, Doug Moeller, Laura Thompson, Bryant Shan, Dennis Champion Walker, Roscoe Jones, George Butters, Joshua Minden, Daniel Maxwell, Taylor Sunderhouse, Adrian Albeck, Michael Marv, Conversation with Tony Mobley, producer, Clylock Lopez, Waterman, and special thanks to Zachary Sorensen of Australia, who is the YouTube moderator tonight. Thank you, Zachary, so much. Conversation with Tony Mobley can be heard on Z98.1 FM. Cincinnati, Ohio, and tune in radio app anywhere through the station. Thanks again to Taylor Sunderhouse and the team behind Conversation with Tony Mobley for making this happen. Special thanks again to Mr. Victor Cajiao, our conversation today, and doing the work that you do and sharing that great music. Thank you again, sir. Conversation with Tony Mobley guest next week will be Mr. Oliver Bradenbach, CEO of Boinks Software, mimoLive. Coming soon, more interesting people. Upcoming conversations are already scheduled on YouTube. We're going to have more educators, music health professionals, mental health professionals, filmmakers, musicians, and other creators. We are having interesting conversation with real people. Conversation with Tony Mobley website. Please go to Conversation with Tony Mobley website and the YouTube Conversation with Tony Mobley. Engage, please engage with other people and have interesting conversations. If you like what you've heard, what you've seen, please like and subscribe. Real conversations with real people. And we're going to say good night. Take care. Be blessed. Take care, everyone. Thanks again so much.
Yeah, Tony, it was fun. Had a good time. All right, buddy. Good job.